Welcome to Success Redefined with Dr. Toni Warner. I'm Dr. Toni, mom of 5, psychotherapist, author, and mentor. Here, you're going to find insightful discussions spanning science, psychology, and soul as the personal and professional meet, and we explore the intersection of what really matters. So success can be redefined with connection, healing, and fulfillment in mind. Today's conversation with Dr. Arial Moore has a different vibe to it than what I have felt in the past 40-some podcast recordings that I have done at this point, whether it's individually or with a guest. So I'll preface that this conversation isn't for everyone. I'm aware that this conversation is going to land differently with different folks in some ways. However, after having this conversation with Ariel, I found myself taking another intentional pause in my day immediately after doing this conversation with her, like immediately after wrapping up together. I found myself wanting to reflect, and I reflect often. It's part of what I do for a balanced well-being and a balanced integrated life. But what I found myself being reminded of is the ways in which I allowed myself to be pulled into external factors that really were not connecting with my internal sense of purpose and my internal, what's called intrinsic motivation. And I really appreciated that this conversation, all of the pauses that happen throughout and the slower yet poignant pace of this conversation, how it caused me to do some afterthoughts, some after reflections that right here, right now, I truly, really needed. And so that may be something that comes up for you. And if it is, how wonderful to have a conversation that can call upon you to reflect in a way that is meaningful and intentional. And I hope that that is something that guides you deeply and invaluably. I also want to put a disclaimer here that towards the end of this conversation, Ariel does make some statements. She references some advice that she has given to others pertaining to certain substances and things like that. So the disclaimer is that what my guests present here does not represent myself, Dr. Toni Warner, or the podcast or the brand. This podcast aims to share information, yes, but mainly to inspire and to express experiences in a way that's insightful, in a way that invokes some challenge within us, in a way that helps us stretch and grow, but also in a way that helps us feel supported and encouraged. It does not signify in any way, shape, or form professional treatment, professional advice, or professional individualized guidance. It is best that if you want professional individualized guidance, that you seek that from a professional who can work with you directly and provide the appropriate assessments, support, or treatment. This podcast cannot substitute for anything along that line. However, I did keep her commentary in. I wanted to preserve the integrity of the realness of this conversation that we had together. And because I do feel like it is a part of her way of authentically showing up that matters for her. And I want to honor that for my guests. Let's hop in. Today I have with me Ariel, who I met, oh my gosh, how long ago was that now? It was a long time ago.
No, it's more than a decade, actually.
Back at Widener University in human sexuality. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I remember there was like the vibe that I got from you was that you were just this caring, compassionate person. and also seemed a little bit shy. And now, a decade or so-ish later, it's like the shyness has peeled back. Like it's like you get to just I love that I'm seeing on social media in particular, like you, it's still that care and compassionate and passionate you. And also there's this next level confidence that I'm seeing, that I'm feeling, that I'm vibing from you. Does that fit for you, or is that just totally biased from my from my filters?
Yeah, no, that's perfect fit. Perfect fit. And coming from that shyness to having to step into whatever this is, it's a journey. It's a journey.
This
So,
is most things that we don't always want to wait for or be patient about or have to navigate the challenges en route to. It tends to be a journey.
yeah.
Wow. And here you are, and you have done so much, which I want to share with everyone about because I think it's amazing. I think that you have and continue to enhance so many lives, and I can tell how passionate you are about it. And you created it in such an innovative way, which is inspiring to me. So let me share a bit more about you before we fully hop in.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Arial Moore is a change maker, an educator, a connector, a protector with a passion for teaching every person that they are worthy of respect, of love, and happiness. She's the founder of Safe Haven, which is a local nonprofit to her. She's successfully secured over $5 million in federal grants to provide Louisiana's youth and young adults with essential education on healthy relationships, goal setting, informed decision making, which I think is so needed for our young adults and for our adults. Her programs equip the next generation with the knowledge to make healthier life choices while emphasizing the importance of self-worth and future planning. Dr. Moore is a dynamic expert in grant writing, management, and evaluation with a passion for empowering organizations and communities. She's has a decade of experience as a federal grant reviewer, giving her unique insight into the priorities and expectations of federal grants. This expertise has actually enabled her to establish a thriving business dedicated to grant writing, management, and evaluation, where she helps organizations optimize their financial resources and ensure grant compliance. In addition to all of that, in addition to all of that work, her grant writing, she's also a dedicated educator. She offers unapologetic and insightful classes on reproductive health, STD and HIV prevention, adolescent pregnancy and prevention, and sexual well-being using humor and authenticity to facilitate learning and healing. And outside of all of those professional aspects of her, she is a mom. She enjoys thrifting, spending time with her family, and
Yeah.
cherishing moments with her three children, Haven, Asen, and Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. How does it feel to hear that read back to you? I'm sure you've heard your bio read before, but how does it feel for you? Like, what comes up for you when you're like, oh my gosh, this is me?
Yeah. It's so cool. It's so cool. But I'm also a huge believer in manifesting and like creating the life that you want with what you have, making lemonade, having a positive outlook. And I swear to you, God, the universe, all the angels, all the goddesses, ancestors, they literally just place opportunities on my lap. And I just take it and run with it. Or I tap in and I'm like, is this where you want me to go? And then if it's like a small then I just turn away. So
Wow.
I guess it's working. I don't know, you know?
You know, you said that so simply, but I don't think it feels that simple sometimes, right? When so many of us, especially us high achieving women who are also moms, navigating marriage or partnership or dating, all of the different aspects of life, it can sometimes feel hard to tap into our intuition in the way that you just so simply and seamlessly shared that you sound like you do.
Yeah.
Does it
I
feel hard for you sometimes?
No, I do notice that that's like a huge gift
Mm.
that a lot of people don't have. Or it takes a lot of practice for other people to tap into. So I just chalk it up to a gift. Comes naturally. Sometimes there's been spaces of like a year or two where I don't really have nudges or or ideas. So I pretty much just go with what feels good or feels right. And then it just keeps leading me down all these wild paths coming from Louisiana. I would have never moved across the nation to go to Widener, you know? Like,
Mhm.
that's nuts. Who would do that? To go study human sexuality? Of course not. There's rarely any jobs out there for sexuality educators. And I knew I didn't want to be a therapist because that's a lot. Like that's a gift for anyone out there doing that work. But I just knew. It's like a peace knowingness and then a little bit of a pizzazz or like excitement.
Like a flame being lit
Yeah,
inside of you.
yeah, yeah. And then you just trust. From there, you just got to trust because you don't know where you're going.
There's so much there, you know. So we were in the human sexuality program together, but you were on the education track and I was on the clinical track because I was already, you know, doing therapy, but also
Like a boss.
some education too. So it's cool how our paths crossed. You were coming from across the nation, and yet and also on a different track in human sexuality, and yet our paths crossed, and here we are all these years later reconnecting. And the the idea behind somehow, some way, there is meaning and purpose to the connections that we have in our lives, that we make in our lives, even if it takes decades, right? Like even if it takes decades for something to come out of it, there's just it's just wild. It's wild to think about. And I'm curious about for you, if we step back to when you did decide to go to Widener and you said that's not something you would have ever done, what was it for you? You've described yourself as introverted,
Yeah.
and yet you took that leap to go to a university to study human sexuality all of those years ago, all of those miles away, all of those hours away from your home.
Yeah.
What led you to do that?
Going back to the gift of intuition, you also know when you're on the wrong track.
Hmm.
It's very apparent for me, at least. And so from 18 to 22, I mean, I was just existing, which is fine. It's cool. But I knew internally I was lost. So I read a book called Finding Your Own North Star, and it helps you figure out what your purpose is, or kind of like maybe not so much what your purpose on this earth is, but like what energizes you, what helps you thrive. And then that led me back to human sexuality. And as at this time, I also tried another career that I didn't necessarily like, it was fine, but it wasn't anything exciting. And so again, I was just in a not a dark space, but in a self-discovery, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life that gave me purpose and happiness and meaning and pleasure. Led me back to human sexuality, started looking up places to study this because who studies this, you know? Found Widener, however. My mom was very supportive of it. My spouse was very supportive of it. they were both like, go, do it, go, why not? And then the why not is, well, there's really no jobs. I'm coming back to Louisiana, being this sexuality educator. That's a big no-no, you know? But I figured if I don't, who will?
Mm.
So moved up there and then trusted, struggled with imposter syndrome. Still to this day, I kind of do, but luckily, that's a little piece of me, not as apparent as it used to be. Meet fabulous people who are also doing the work. And I just love to create with people and share these experiences. And like you said, relationships are so important. And what I'm now figuring out is networking, building those relationships, truly the authentic relationships, especially in career, not just in your personal space, but in your career. It's invaluable. Like you can't put a price tag on that. And that's pretty cool.
The connections, yeah, bringing us back to the connections and the collaborations that we have, the co-creations that we have
Yeah.
with folks around us, and that we don't have to do it all on our own all the time. I think is one of those, for me, I grew up the super independent, I have to take care of myself kind of thing, can't rely on other people, but other people can rely on me kind of thing, and feeling like,
Oh,
I have to be a go-getter. I have to do it all of the time on my own. And that can become, even though people look at you thinking externally you look successful, it can become very lonely and isolating.
very much so. Very much so.
Yeah. Have you ever had that experience? Or
Oh,
how would
yeah.
you describe yours?
Yeah. And I would say, unfortunately, I'm still kind of in that space of this is very lonely.
Mm.
But how do you navigate that as an adult now? So where I do get my connections, of course, my immediate family, but outside of my immediate family, it's my colleagues who I've met at Widener, who I met doing work. Of course, they're not 10 minutes away where I can go hang out and have lunch or dinner, you know? There are some, but yeah, it's certainly lonely place to be.
Your your type of work as an entrepreneur specifically, or what would you say you're referring to specifically that feels lonely for you?
Personal relationships. So
Hmm.
thriving in a professional manner and also having this gift of, that's probably not a good idea, Ariel. You kind of just find yourself on a lonely road that you're creating. Professionally, it's pretty cool, but personally, it's certainly a lonely road to take. But then we have people like yourself, other colleagues who are also paving their own road, who reach out and it's like, "Hey, how you doing? How's it going over there?" You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I can resonate that sense of, well, the way I describe it, I'm curious if it's similar for you. This deep knowing that forever, I've had this deep knowing that I'm here for something deeply personal, deeply purposeful. Like
yeah.
there is a purpose to my living. And I do believe we all have a purpose or purposes for, there's a meaning to our lives that is unique unto each of us, although we don't all find it. I've always felt that way, and I feel very strongly about it. But I've also known that my path is one that is unique, one that is, and I think again, it's unique for everyone, right? But to me, it has felt like it's a lonely path. I think a part of me has known that there are many times where the path is meant to be a lonely path for me, even though I value relationships and connections.
Yeah.
And my work is all surrounding relationships and connections and then being
Yep.
healthy and more healed, right? And more
Yep.
deep,
Yep.
which sounds ironic, right? Like,
Right. Of absolutely.
yeah, is it like that? Even though I think someone that doesn't resonate with it will probably be like, what is she talking about? But
No,
someone
I
that
know. I
does,
know.
they're like, oh, okay, I
Oh
can,
yeah. Yeah. No, I totally resonate with that because I have a lot of people around and I truly care about those relationships and build them. But it's not, it's, I guess I long for connections that are just not this level of, I don't want to call it basic, but
like surface level.
like surface level or even a little bit under surface level because as sexuality professionals, we kind of get into personal details, but even that, it's still pretty surface-ish, maybe 10 feet under, but I want to go like 50
50.
feet under. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
want this bond and connection. And so it's really hard. I don't know. I don't know what to do about recognizing that this is part of the journey. Also being open to making connections, seeing where they go, both personally and professionally. And still being positive, you know. I think if I tried harder, I would have more friends. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe in the future. That's actually my goal for 2025
Yeah.
is to find like deep friendship.
That's what I was gonna say. Right. There's a difference, I think, but between more friendship, like more friends and deep friendship.
Yeah.
To have folks that you can go deep with. I agree. I mean, are you sure that you don't want to be a therapist? Right. Like, I love
Yeah, no.
to go deep. I love to go deep. I think, and maybe this is a common theme in our human sexuality cohort too, because with that so often is this passion for human connection, right? To me, that is an essential part of human sexuality is human connection.
Yeah.
It's surrounded
Yeah.
by that.
Yes.
And so we care so deeply about it and we think often so deeply about it that it's hard not to
Yeah.
want it deeply, to want to feel it, to want to experience it deeply,
Yeah.
which I think can bring us to part of what I want to talk to you about today. The challenging relationships, the ones as we're navigating life at work, life at home as these really passionate women. You describe yourself as more introverted. I think extrovert and an introverted extrovert. So I definitely lean heavier on the
Yeah.
extrovert, have this introverted aspect of me.
Yeah.
So knowing a bit about ourselves and that we care so much about human connections, human relationships, and helping them to be
Uh,
healthy and more healed, right? And then putting that alongside of the immense challenge and conflict and polarization that we see happening in the world at large right now, but also just in our day to day, whether it's in our work or in our families, how how to navigate that, how you have found yourself to navigate not just the beautiful side
yeah.
actions, but the really tough side.
Yeah. That's hard. But I've had my life experience has given me great, like numerous opportunities to learn and practice this. Like going from, I was typical country girl, moved across the nation, had tremendous culture shock.
Mm.
I had to realize that I did not know everything, did not see everything. My assumptions, my beliefs were completely cracked,
Wow.
shattered, but I got to build it back. And so, with that, coming back to Louisiana, with my newfound and self created belief system and values, challenging relationships, I would say that whenever there's people who love you, they want the best for you, but they're also stuck, or like they're also in their own world. And so whenever they see you changing for the good or for the bad, there might be a little hesitation there. And you just got to know what's true to your, like, in you, to you, and trust. I keep going back to trust because that's kind of the largest thing
Mm.
that I have, is trust, knowing all is going to be fine, all is well. God and the universe is always working in your favor. Even if you look like the outcast, it's better to be the outcast knowing your beliefs and your values than being accepted into something that just doesn't feel right to you,
Hmm.
both professionally and personally. I've had to have a lot of hard, we, as an entrepreneur and nonprofit founder creator, I've had to let some people go. That
Hmm.
that's hard, but you just kind of have to do it. And in personal relationships, like, if it's not a good vibe, it's not a good vibe.
So how do you do that? Like, can you think of an example that maybe was more challenging for you than another that
Oh yeah.
hard, you've what that
Yeah.
was for you?
I think the theme is like, I believe in people's potential a little bit too much. So professionally, coach, consistent coaching, being clear on expectations, on your needs. And I'm not like a difficult boss. I'm not a micromanager. I'm kind of like, hey, just do your job. If you do your job, great. If you need anything, I'm here. But sometimes it's difficult to let people go after you've given them time and time. Luckily, I have wonderful coaches, business coaches, people who are of that level of responsibility, who you can kind of like talk through, get their advice. I went from zero success to like overnight success, it felt like. Although I created it myself, I didn't know what I was getting into, but going from zero success to overnight success, I had to learn a lot and quick. And then once I realized everybody is just doing the best they can with what they have, then you kind of just got to navigate where your goals are and if they're part of that journey or not.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done. Yeah.
When you say 0 to overnight success, what did that look like for you? What was your story? What was your
Hella crazy. Okay, so coming back from Widener in 2017, pregnant, no job, on Medicaid, which I'm a huge fan of, Medicaid for all. But truly, me and my spouse, we were living off of student loans. Of course, I was working, like picking up gigs as we do in this field, but nothing of like quote unquote leadership or with great responsibility of other people. And then started my own nonprofit. and then won these grants, which is a big jump from, you know, barely making any money to you're having to manage thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, ethically, responsibly. I don't know. But again, it was placed on my lap. I had to do what I had to do in order to make it successful. I knew that the responsibility was on me. I created this nonsense, and we needed to make sure that we did the work, which means teaching youth about themselves, learn and love themselves, to know what not to get into or what to do if you got into a situation and you kind of need support getting out of it.
Mm.
Because right now, Louisiana doesn't have any of that type of education. Social emotional education is like a hot topic. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Uh,
Wow.
so again, if I didn't do it, who would?
Mhm.
Now there's a lot of children and young adults who at least learn to love themselves a little more and to stand in their own authenticity.
Was that
Yeah.
hard for you when you were a kid? Like if you did you grow up in Louisiana?
Yep.
Yeah. So growing up without access to that social emotional education and support, was that something that was hard for you when you were a kid to not have?
Yeah. So grew up with a single mom who did the best she could with what she had. There's four of us in the family, so we were always, making ends meet, but that's about it. She always worked 24/7, so really there wasn't um anyone there to like guide or teach. It was more so like do this, do that, which is fine. Again, people do what they can with what they know and what they have. But growing up, I knew that adults were I don't know if I could say this, but adults adults also have their own baggage
Yes, indeed. You
to
can
carry.
definitely do that.
And and as a child, unless you understand that, you just do what you can. But I kind of knew that, okay, these adults are really effed up. Not necessarily my family, but even like authority figures. Whenever I had my assault situation happen, my sexual assault situation happened, we went to the police, and the police was like, no, that's false. Like, no, y'all were dating. And I'm like, how am I'm 12 years old. How am I dating an 18-year-old dude?
My
Um,
gosh.
they're like, no, you're lying. Y'all are in a relationship. So
Oh
at
my,
that point in time, I knew like that intuition piece started to become a little more louder, because of course that's not right.
there's definitely something within you and your internal system and your external system that is offering support in a way where you are also listening to it, because there are so many folks, I know you know because you're in the human sexuality field, but there are so many folks that in that situation, and I've spoken with many as well, where that experience of being dismissed and ignored and shut down and told no, the assault you just went through actually wasn't an assault, that would have led them to trust their intuition less, to have faith less because of the experience, often chronic, of not being heard, of not having their voice or their experience supported, or have a space, a safe space where they can be expressive in what they need and what they're going through. And you having experienced that and to actually come closer to your intuition and closer to your sense of trust and faith is amazing.
Yeah. That makes me really sad. Yeah. But I also think that that's kind of what drives me to continue with this quote unquote success is trusting myself, even if people are telling me nonsense, just trusting. But it really makes me sad that there's people that would trust themselves a little less. Oh,
Well, I mean,
thank you for sharing that. Yeah,
especially kids, because if,
certainly.
if they're not getting the support that they need and they're telling their truth of what they just went through.
And these adults
Mhm.
are saying otherwise. Oh,
Yeah.
and that's also kind of where the caring and compassion piece comes in, is like on my road of success, there's been many a times where it could have turned another route. Like like what you're saying, if I would have not trusted myself more, but in fact questioned myself more, how would that impact the future of my life?
Significantly,
For
especially
sure.
if you're not feeling safe in the environment that you're in. So if you're not feeling safe and supported in the environment that I mean, I see this obviously walking in my therapy office all the time, right? Is the questioning of
Yeah.
themselves and the lack of sense of this sense of safety and sense of support is just lacking oftentimes significantly because of experiences that they've had oftentimes throughout their childhood. And I mean, myself included, I've had those experiences too. And it can be hard not to wonder, like, well, then is it my fault? Or is it something wrong with me? Or is it something I did? Or I need to be different? Or I need to separate myself and not trust anybody?
Right. Yeah.
What is it, do you think? And you may not even know the answer to this, but if you were to consider your lived experience, what is it, do you think, that helped lay that groundwork for you to lean more towards trusting your own self and intuition, trusting your God, as opposed to questioning it when the stakes were high and the sense of safety was low?
I think because of the way I kind of grew up, we didn't really have that many responsible authority figures that was consistent. And so I had to rely on myself, like, to survive. And I'm over exaggerating that a little bit, but that's kind of what it was. So if I don't take care of myself, who would? Like, if I don't do this, who will? And that's a consistent theme. Luckily, it's rooted in spirituality and that essence of knowingness, of beingness, of knowing there's something greater than just this.
Did you learn that from somewhere or someone?
No, I've always went, well, back in the gap when I was sweet little old country Ariel, I always went to church. but I just always had this longing or this knowing that something was more than that spiritually.
Hmm.
And then when my entire religious belief system broke, it brought me back to that root of, I don't know, it's just this spirituality essence vibe that guides me. And if I listen, it helps me make really good decisions. But that part is really hard whenever you want to do something and that your intuition is like, hey, maybe that's not a good idea. So anyways, I just always had that throughout my entire life. It's a gift. I'm grateful because I can see how many a times my road would have took a left turn or a right turn. So I can't really, whenever I'm grateful for the success that I've had, but I don't let it blow up my ego too much because I know it could have turned out very differently.
For someone who is navigating the world right now and not really feeling safe or supported and is facing a lot of really difficult conversations in their lives, are there some tips or suggestions or experiences that you could share to help kind of pave the way for how they could pay attention to their own intuition a little bit more?
Yeah. My first go-to is always like guided meditations because it guides me into connecting with that peace. Now, it's hard because there's constant chaos everywhere, especially if you're a mom. But meditation is usually a quick tool that I can use to connect me back. If you find a good meditation video on YouTube. But as a, how did you call it? As an extroverted introvert, I like to be in silence. Like I like to be quiet. I like to do nothing, not even watch TV. Like just sit and be whenever I can. So if anybody is having any just challenge in life, for them to connect back to themselves, I would certainly say meditate, possibly do some mushrooms. That might be illegal to say right now. Maybe look into spiritual retreats. Maybe not religious retreats, unless that's your thing, then do it. Yeah, I was just talking with someone and I advised them to go do an ayahuasca trip. Have you learned about ayahuasca?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, just something that like connects you with a larger purpose, even if it's a substance that helps that you need to take.
Quick reminder of our disclaimer that myself, Dr. Toni Warner, and any entity related to Toni Lynn PhD Enterprises or the Success Redefined podcast do not support, condone, or advise any unsafe or illegal use of any substance of any kind. To slow down, so your suggestion is to deliberately be still, be present, slow down, turn inward.
Yeah, that forces you to turn inward. Yeah.
So there's a question I ask everyone as we close out. our time together today. And the question is this: looking back, based and seeing kind of the life that you've lived and the path that you thought you should take, and seeing the definition of success you used to have, how, if at all, has your definition of success changed now? If you were to redefine success for Ariel now, what would your new definition of success be for yourself in your life?
Toni, that's a really good question. Success back in the day felt like being able to pay your bills. Simply. Now, success feels like being able to create with anyone whenever you want. So that's what I'm kind of striving to do, is be able to like build things with people who want to build things and then do it again and do it again. So that's what success, that's what I think success is now.
That makes me think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like the bottom,
Yeah.
the triangle, and really focusing on that sense of safety. You know, like you said, like got to pay the bills. But when that's taken care of, so to speak,
Yeah.
that experience and that focus moves up the triangle and
Yeah.
shifts. Mm.
And what's the top one? I think it's something along the lines of like creating.
Self-actualization. Yeah. Yeah, which is similar to what you're saying, to live into your sense of purpose for yourself and continually grow and lean into that. And that's
Yeah.
sounds like it aligns with your desire to co-create in a meaningful way.
Yeah. With people.
Yeah, yeah. Our conversation is different. It has strands of similarities, but it is different in feel, like in tone and in content, than probably all of the other almost, I think, 40 some episodes that I've recorded and that we've done at this point. And I think that that offers something unique that someone somewhere may very well need to hear right now. So thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
I'm glad
Yeah.
we could figure out the schedules amongst our
Yeah.
businesses and many children and nursing and all of that stuff.
All the things. No, thank you for creating this space for people to learn from you and for other brilliant people. It's an honor to keep creating. And so, yeah.
My
Yeah.
honor too. I'm glad to have also, I mean, people that are listening don't know, so I'll just identify that. So Ariel and I both had babies within the past year, and mine's a little bit older. He just turned one. How old is your baby now?
6 months.
6 months. And so we're both nursing and navigating the world of nursing. Our last, I believe you said that was your
Yes,
last, right? Yes, this is
certainly.
your third, your last, my fifth, my last nursing time, and all of the family things and all of the
How
entrepreneur.
is how's that going for you? Your last nursing time?
I just stopped a week ago with my almost 2.5-year-old, and that's been hard because she exclusively nursed. And so she wants to keep nursing. That's hard, especially
Yeah.
since she was just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So like I want to be, I want to offer her that soothing. I know it's soothing for her, but
Yeah.
I'm tapped out. So I'm gradually working on my emotions with my fourth before working on my emotions with my
With
fifth.
your fifth? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If you found this conversation insightful, helpful, stimulating in any way, feel free to comment. We would love to hear your comments. And any questions that come up, I'll share them with Dr. Ariel Moore, or if they're for me, I'll answer them as best I can, as soon as I can. All right, y'all. Bye. Links related to this episode can be found in the show notes section. Want to submit questions about success, satisfaction, healing, and relationships, health, or work? You can do that free and anonymous at drtoniwarner.com, where you'll find other resources there as well. Did you benefit from this episode? You can subscribe, like, and share with another to pass it on, because anyone can listen on the go with this podcast audio available on all major podcasting platforms.